want to. We have a very special guest joining us. But before we introduce him, I have some very special shout outs that I'd like to give. Our production supervisor, Bennett, he'll give you the details.
I was out on the boardwalk. I won't say where, but at the beach. And I met some pretty big fans of Victorious. So, Marilyn.
Okay. Emily, Courtney, Josephine, Josie, and Aaron. And in case you didn't hear it, Emily, Courtney, Josephine, Josie, Aaron, Josie, Josephine, Courtney, Emily. Thank you.
Now, I have to say, we have a lot of fans. I met so many that if you didn't hear your name this week, stay patient. We have new episodes every Wednesday of Victoriously Crazy and every other Friday for Grand Fan Fridays. But if you didn't hear your name this Wednesday, got a lot of fans.
And I take a lot of naps. Who's our guest?
Should we bring him in?
Tristan
Dalley.
Yay! Oh my God. When I heard about all the things that you do, I was like, I want to talk to this guy.
Okay.
And thank you, Bennett, for finding him. This is going to be so amazing. You are like an art director, or were an art director on Victorious. Is that correct?
That's right. It's a little bit confusing because art director can mean so many different things. The production designer, the sort of top production designer, the head of the room was Harry Matthew, and I worked for Harry when we were doing Victorious. But the job that I did was art direction work.
I know you worked on iCarly, Henry Danger, Game Shakers, but what does that involve, like behind the scenes? What exactly does an art director do?
Well, the art director is responsible for the look of the show and the translation of the script into sets, et cetera, et cetera. And that role can be small or it can be large. It can just be the scenery, or it can be, and especially as I moved into production design, to me it's important to have the props, the special effects, everything be part of that overall look. You don't have to do it that way, and sometimes art directors can be really specialized. You can work on a big movie and have an art director who's just working on greens on location, or just working in one specific area. But it's a title that means you're in charge of the look of some part of the production, whether it's the whole thing, some part of it, and a lot of that gets sort of worked out as you talk to the executive producer, as you talk to television anyway, talk to the executive producer, talk to the writers about all the kinds of things you're going to have on the show, whether or not it's going to be a lot of sort of basic sets that you just move from basic set to basic set. Then that would be sort of one thing. Or if you're going to build a lot of sets, a lot of swing sets, then that would be another sort of thing. If you're going to go outside, that'll be one thing, So it can mean a lot of different things. On Victorious, there was a lot of time spent working on the swing sets with Harry, and then there was a lot of time working on sort of specialty props. And as I went on and did Henry Danger and Danger Force, those sort of science fiction props and the sort of designing weird, interesting things with special effects, physical or visual effects. Those things are things that are very interesting to me too.
Wow. Percy, here's a question you could ask.
Okay, we released a podcast about A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And she had her scene cut.
Yeah,
Poor
they cut
mama.
me.
They cut you, huh?
Yeah, that's all right.
Did you bleed bad?
A little.
But you were featured as a yodeler.
Oh,
that's right, a caroler. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh.
How'd you get cast for that?
I think that there was always an interest in. I mean, it is fun to be part of a show in every way that it's possible to be part of a show.
Yeah.
And whenever there's been an opportunity to do a bit part, a weird bit part, I've always been interested. I did that on Henry Danger as well, and I've managed to do little tiny bits here and there on a bunch of different stuff. But I think that my interest in doing weird stuff being the guy who has the funny musical instrument in the background in iCarly or whatever. I think that
there he is.
Yeah, that's
that is
Eric
so
Lang.
Cool.
I just had lunch with him the other day.
Wow, that is so cool. Bennett, you are the best. He comes up with
we
this
had
stuff.
no idea. We had no idea
that he was going to pop that in there.
Shout out to the Parasource. They find everything. Look at this. # crew member cameo. They find all the crew members that appear on screen.
And you can go deep. There are a lot. And it's so nice to have worked with the same group of people for so long. Like a lot of the crew was the same for like 14 years.
Wow.
Kind of yeah.
That's a long time. So you all as a group just moved from show to show?
Yeah. And it's only been recently. I mean, Thundermans was another Nickelodeon property, another Nickelodeon superhero show about a family of superheroes. Nickelodeon did a movie version. They'd finished the series a bit ago, I think maybe 5 years ago. But it's very exciting. I really enjoyed working on that as well.
It's wonderful to do what you love. How did you begin your work with Nickelodeon? Was it for the iCarly pilot?
Yeah. So let's see. I used to work. I started in theater. I was very interested in. I'm still very interested in theater. It's hard to get to have a family. I have a big family, and it is hard to work in theater and pay for a mortgage and family. We moved here from Seattle, and when I lived in Seattle, I worked at the Seattle Children's Theater. We came down here, and I started working at South Coast Rep in South Orange County because my partner is a professor at Cal State Fullerton, and I was here for about 4 months, and my best friend from junior high. It's funny. I'm wearing an Applause Video T-shirt.
I love it.
Anybody who grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, this is an old Omaha thing. So
that's a shout out for them.
Yes, shout out for a long gone video rental store.
Yeah.
But my friend Tim was like, hey, I know that you're working in theater, but there's a show that's starting up, and my friend's working on it, and it's set in Seattle, and there's a sculptor on the show, and they need somebody to make the sculptures for the show, and you're a sculptor and you're from Seattle. And I was like, oh yeah, I should check that out. Yeah.
Wow.
So I went up and interviewed for that and started building the Spencer sculptures. And then as it was starting up, there was an opening in the art department, and it was going to be an opportunity to work both on-site and off-site doing the sculpture stuff, and then working as the art department assistant. And then it just sort of unfolded from there. So yeah, it started with building the BottleBot was the very first thing. BottleBot for iCarly was the very first thing. And I've since now made yet another. I've made another copy of it for the new version, iCarly, the relaunch. I think I'm the only crew member who's worked on every episode of both versions of iCarly.
You have a formal training in art? I mean, is this something you studied for?
Yeah. So I went to the University of Evansville in Indiana for theater. So it's a great theater school. There are a lot of working actors out here who came out of that program. And then I went from there to the University of Washington for graduate school. And my partner and I actually met, got married, and moved and went to graduate school all in 6 months.
Aww.
Started graduate school together. Of course, she finished with the PhD, and I finished with the MFA, which is I did technical theater, scenic design, BFA, and then I also did an associated study in graphic design and an associated study in sculpture when I was an undergraduate, and then I did scenic design as my MFA. And then did some internships. I did an internship at the Royal Opera House and two internships at the Royal National Theatre in London.
Not a question. I was just going to reflect on how much of a legend you are, because iCarly was the first Nickelodeon show that I watched. And the fact that you built the BottleBot, I mean, I could go on about all the time.
Oh, yeah. I could tell you were excited, Bennett.
He was like, what?
He put BottleBot in all caps and bold.
part of my task includes doing a little bit, my job includes doing a little bit of
The
Instagram
research.
stalking and the research, and that's how we get connected. Instagram's a blessing. It's how we connect these days, right? And I saw that you did a step-by-step process of how you rebuilt it for the reboot. And you are so talented, man. I mean, how lucky were they to get you?
Blessed.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben. I have the original BattleBot head in the garage. It was not originally green. It's an interesting thing. We work in a industry where a lot of times people they can write and they can describe things beautifully, but they don't necessarily know what the visual impact or what a physical representation of what they've drawn is.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
And so you can spend a lot of time thinking that you know quite clearly what somebody has described in the text, and then you go and show them, and they're like, "What is this?" Like, well,
That's not what I wanted.
And that very much happened with the BattleBot. The when I had drawn it, and one of the things that was talked about originally was this idea of sort of a samurai figure. I based it on it was very squat and wide, and was split.
Muscular.
Yes. Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
half blue and half red. These sort of big claw-like. There were people who were really interested in Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there was an influence. We actually had a Rock'em Sock'em piece that was on the side of one of the elevator shaft in the studio set, because Rock'em Sock'em Robots was a thing. So I had started with that, and I brought it to the stage, and people came out to look at it, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know."
I love when they say, "Let's go in a different direction."
Yes, very, very much so. Yeah, he's more slender, and I don't feel like it doesn't look robot enough, and so. It was a 2-day, very quick redo into, we bought a whole bunch of bottles of, I think it was Sprite at the time, dumped all those bottles of Sprite down the sink, which I'm sure was a terrible environmental, so much work on that show. There's a lot of plastic.
It's our secret.
There's a lot of plastic, a lot of waste, which, over the years I have tried to be better and better about, if I'm going to buy something, I try and use the whole thing, find ways to use it,
right.
But it's interesting now. I think, like Bennett, the crowd who saw iCarly as kids are now becoming old enough that they could, because I've had people ask me online, can I make them a BattleBot? And I'm always kind of shamefaced about it, because I'm like, man, it costs a lot of money. I'm sorry. Yes,
they have no idea. They have
absolutely,
no idea.
I could make you one, absolutely, but it would cost you more than. But fortunately, now people like Bennett are getting to be old enough that maybe I can take a run at actually building some sculpture and selling it to people, because the
side hustle,
funds,
dude.
Yeah, the funds might
hustle.
be there. I've been thinking about a lot, actually. Seeing if I could get a gallery show.
Is it all right? I have some stuff on my computer at the ready.
Yes.
If I take us down a little bit more of some memory lane with iCarly.
Do it.
Yeah,
because I know we had the yodel, right? So here's the crazy thing. Before there's some, we looked at that crew member cameo, but earlier today I was pulling some clips because we were doing a show where we were talking about Mike Karen, who I'm sure you worked with. And look who's in the background. Okay, wait, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
So there was an episode called I Bloop, which is kind of like a behind the scenes. They're showing all the bloopers of
I love those.
Right? So Mike sort of was playing Mike, who was assistant director at the time, was playing, kind of, I think, Miranda's assistant. And so who did I see in the background? I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but is that you over there carrying something? There you are.
In the yellow shirt?
Yeah.
And
God.
That is fantastic. And a friend in Seattle made a shirt called "Lions Are Smarter Than You." And I bought it off of Threadless. I still have that T-shirt, but it's got my same sunglasses and a copious amount of hair. So I used to wear that T-shirt all the time. Yeah, that's totally. Man, Mike looks good.
Again, please confirm. the episode of iCarly, I Want My Website Back. If you remember, their biggest fan, Mandy Valdez, had parents that she talked about, and she was scrolling through a hat. She had a hat with photos on it, and she's like, this is me with my mom, and this is me with my dad, right?
That is so cool.
100%. Now, those were my vaguely German architect glasses.
Yeah.
I switched.
You're like your professor glasses or something. You look like a teacher.
Yeah, I switched to the more classic Ray-Bans shortly after that.
I love that about Nickelodeon, how they use everybody.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you don't mind doing it, they don't mind letting you do it. So I love that about you. There he is again.
That was
Yes. 100%.
We're going to change this from Where's Waldo to Where's Tristan.
He seems to be everywhere.
All right, sorry, I just had to indulge myself in the nostalgia.
Oh, no, man.
You found those pictures.
You kidding me?
You got to share them. And if you're not watching this podcast, you should watch it. Because listening to it, you won't get that pop-up effect.
Yeah. I think Tristan is getting a kick out of it.
You're amazing.
He is. You are.
Yeah, he is.
You are an artist, an actor. I mean, and when you were studying all that art and stuff, did you think it would lead down this path? Is that what your goal was? Or were you just wanted to make busts of presidents or something? I don't know. What was your goal?
I have two younger brothers, both of whom are much smarter and more accomplished than me. My youngest brother is actually a mechatronicist. He's a doctor of robots, and my middle brother is a musician and has traveled and played with incredible people. I think I was more of a dilettante. I wanted to be a bunch of different things. I told my folks that I wanted to be like an architect, but I also wanted to be a plumber. But I also wanted to be, I had this long list of things. And then, Wile E. Coyote would come up on the screen. I'm like, that's what I really want. I want to be an inventor. I want to be an inventor when I grow up. And
nice.
When I started doing theater at the Emmy Gifford Children's Theater, which is a children's theater in Omaha that has since grown into the Rose Theater in Omaha. There was an opportunity there to sort of start doing some of the architecture, but also plumbing. You know what I mean? The architecture, but also, art and, all these other things. I don't know that I intended to do this, but I very much like the way that I feel when I do this. And I like the friends that I have that I work with. Like in that clip that you just showed, Mike walking towards us, Mike, who's one of my very best friends. My friend Ne'e Leao is in the background. I saw him. I couldn't focus on everybody at the same time. But again, any opportunity that you have to work with friends again and again and again and again, man, that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's for.
It's a family.
Yes.
Yeah.
So so there's Ne'e. Ne'e's working on the monitor over there. Yep, right there.
I was just thinking about him. He played Chop the Squid on Victorious.
Yeah, that's right. Kwaku.
Yeah, we love him.
I am always amazed by Bennett's knowledge of these things.
Look at that. Oh, wow.
And I think that was Norm in the back. I think that was our construction coordinator moving in the background there, too.
Wow. Yeah. So how did you feel about the BattleBot? Is that what it was called? Becoming the what was it called? BattleBot? Yeah, becoming so popular. How did you feel about that?
I have loved it. I had the great privilege of being able to tell everyone at one of my high school reunions that would listen to me that I had a toy at Subway, because the BattleBot was actually a toy, like one of the things you got with your kids' meal. There was like a cardboard version of it.
That's huge.
Not up in here somewhere. I thought that was pretty cool. But I love the BattleBot. I love it, and I like any opportunity that there is to sort of continue to refer. Sometimes there are things that are outside the universe of the show. I like having whatever project I'm working on. I like including Easter eggs, having some part of something that comes in from before, something like that. We do that all the time, from the Pear products, to what are some really good recurring Easter eggs? Brands, of course, are not allowed in children's television, right? You cannot support a brand within the course of a show, because if you do, it becomes advertising, and there's a set amount of advertising minutes that everything gets. But Rick Cohen, who is the on-set dresser on almost all the projects that I've worked on, Rick and I always used to eat. We used to have Oreos hidden in the set, in the living rooms of whatever set of whatever show we were working on. And that's unfortunate. I think about that now. That's a Easter egg that the audience at home never would get to see. But man, if you working as an art director, if you can make the actor who walks into the set feel like they're in an actual place, feel like something that gives them something back, that informs that if you as an art director have listened to either the words, or you've worked with that actor before and you know this character a little bit, and if you can give them something that resonates, man, that makes for a better day for everybody, right? It informs the performance. It lets the actor know that everybody cares that they're there. I actually, you know what? Am I allowed to share my screen?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I found the model we built of Andre's grandma's living room.
Oh my God!
That. I remember.
No way.
So this is the model that we built in SketchUp for the show.
So those that are listening, it's the living room with the yellow couch, the blue chair.
You can't listen to this. If you're listening, turn this off.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
Look at
that.
And then I have also, because I am compulsive about these things. This is before we really got complicated, because now the art department, the level of complexity of our models has gone up. As you can imagine. I mean, this is several years ago, right? But I was trying to open in the background while we were talking before we got started some images, and it looks like I was going to open them in preview so I could just sort of flip through them really quick. It looks like they just started to open in Photoshop.
Oh, look at that! That's Bad Roommate looks like when he was on
That's
the.
Right.
Yes, when he was playing, and I kept running in, and the yes. Oh my God! You built that? You created all that?
Carrie and I worked together to make that original model, right?
Yes.
And then we had Norm Phils was the construction coordinator. We had a bunch of really talented prop makers who came and built that. And I believe, I can't remember at that point whether it was Bonnie Bennett's. I think Bonnie Bennett's was the set decorator at that point. And then
I love it.
The wallpaper, I have since hand reproduced that wallpaper for use in other places, because it has something.
It's like it's a grandma wallpaper. Only a grandma would have that.
Yeah.
And I love the family photos in the back. You can see Andre.
Yeah.
We did a commercial and they actually took pictures of us and
some crazy stuff. I don't know if I can zoom in this preview window. I can't. Okay, so back here.
Yeah, it's getting a little bigger.
Oh,
yeah, look at the Andre
so we had these jealousy. Yeah, these jealousy glass windows here from in the back. So it gives you a feeling of like sort of being in Florida or something like that. Sort of someplace where it'd be breezy. But those windows and that hardware sat for a long time. We weren't using them for anything, and then I dug them back out again when we designed Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder, the live action version of Fairly Odd Parents. We used those again. If you look at the dance studio on Fairly Odd Parents, it's the same hardware, the same units. We just got more. We used these ones and added more to them. But that's
recycling.
Yeah, exactly, right. But also, it's cool to have things that are connected from one thing.
I mean, that's a total grandmother's house.
Oh, thank you.
See the phone.
Yeah, right.
Dude, you got
I had one like that. I had a phone like that.
I love that.
I have to explain to some kid that you used to have a phone with a cord. Is a fascinating.
Yeah. Oh my.
What's a landline?
Look at the old landline phone.
Yeah, that's what I said. The landline phone, man.
Oh my goodness. So ask this question right here, Percy, because we kind of covered some of the.
Yeah. What was the routine for the art department crew? Was there a system where everyone did different things?
Yes, and that the roles. Every art department is going to end up with different people sort of doing different things particularly well, and you want to have everything play to the individual personality's advantage. But when you have a two-person art department like we did, which is to have a production designer, an assistant art director. So Harry, production designer, me as assistant art director, then an art department assistant. Usually the jobs would fall out where Harry, as production designer, would go to any sort of individual one-on-one meetings with the executive producer. And then we would go together to hear big story points from the writers. And then Harry would come up with we had set places on the stage where you could build. Most multi-camera shows are set up with either a central camera aisle or a perimeter camera aisle. And then when you build it, you set it up so that your permanent sets, the sets you shoot in every week, the living room, the bedroom, that those are set in the areas that are hardest to get to. I mean, with lifts or with, moving scenery and furniture in and out. And then you leave the rest of the area open, your swing set areas. And then the open areas are the places where you can put your sets that are only going to be there for the week, the swing sets. And so Harry and I would then break down what he was thinking about, was looking for, was interested in terms of the swing sets for a given script. Sometimes we would be referring to research that we found on the internet or even from books. This is back in the time when people still had books. I have books.
I know. It's
books here.
I love books.
And sometimes, the longer you work with somebody, the more efficient that conversation can be, right? And if it's quick and efficient, and you can say, yeah, it's going to be an Italian restaurant, it's going to be like Pini's. We've done Pini's like 100 times. There's a restaurant that we had, and we're going to do it like this. And then the assistant art director can sit down and start to create some version of how that's supposed to look. Then try and get a set designer to come in and draw that for you. There are some particularly interesting ways in which the way that's supposed to work is that there's supposed to be a set designer there who's able to help you do that. A production designer can do those drawings, and a production designer can ask for assistance in doing those drawings. There's a big gray area about there are ways that you can accomplish something with less people. Now,
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
Because sometimes if you know your team and if you have a routine way of doing it, and you can cut out that other person that comes in and you can still accomplish that goal, it's better that way.
Yeah.
It works better that way.
It can certainly be faster. I think, as I have gotten more and more established myself, I've been lucky enough to be able to have set designers in the art department full time, which is fantastic.
That's cool.
If you have, the more people that you can have, the more people that the budget will support, the more opportunities there are for suggestions about, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, and what we should do? We should do something like this. Okay, I know we need to take a little bit more time, but if we have this other person, then we can take that little bit more time, And so I've always been one to push for having a full-time set designer and for having a full-time graphic designer.
Yes.
That is something that informally often falls to the art department assistant, and that there's a whole group of people, very talented graphic designers out there that I try and make use of that pool, because it is the results can be good both ways, but they're better if you have somebody who's dedicated to doing that job.
There was lots of artwork over the seasons. Do you have any favorite pieces you worked on?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I have in my backyard right now, I have the Banana Man, which was from an episode of Sam and Cat. It was the statue that Ariana Grande supposedly built out of bananas, plastic bananas. He's sitting out in my backyard right now. And I have the yo-yo tree from an early episode of iCarly. My friend Josh Jimenez and I welded that together and covered it with yo-yos. It doesn't have yo-yos on it anymore. It's just the metalwork. Still beautiful. That's in my backyard.
Dig it.
I love the Bottle Bot very much. On Victorious, we had I don't know if you remember the Studio Theater, that studio space. Is the place, the Black Box Theater. For some of the productions of the fake productions of the show within a show, we ended up making scenery. So I have there was an episode with Korn. It was like It was supposed to be sort of a spoof or a mock of a Twister, that show Twister, that movie Twister with Helen Hunt. Anyway,
I love that movie.
Yeah, we made a bunch of fake corn. So I have that. I have pieces. I have pieces of so many things. So many things.
Do your kids play with it?
Yeah, I've never been one to be too precious with stuff like that. If you're not willing to get it out and look at it,
and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's good, Dad.
That is so cool.
Always.
Don't play with that. You know how long it took me to make that. Leave it alone. What's wrong with you?
You got to be the coolest dad
He's gotta be,
earth.
man.
Oh my God.
I want to go back to childhood and let him be my dad.
Oh no. So what was the most fun artwork to make and what was the most challenging?
We had, I'm trying to remember now whether there was an episode of Victorious. Okay. Man, a bunch of different things all at the same time. There was a crossover episode, iCarly Victorious. I Party with Victorious, I think is what it was.
Yes, I remember that.
You were in that,
Big
Marilyn.
party. Yeah, I was in that briefly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We built a really cool fake video game that St. John surfed on and then threw him out the window.
Remember that.
Yeah,
and he landed in the hot tub.
Oh yeah,
I remember.
Oh man, that and it's funny. I think of that as being a piece of artwork. that the rig for that surfboard thing was so cool. It was this like gimbal mount idea. It turned out really cool. We built a popcorn seed shooting robot. I think that was for Carly, but we used there was a movie called the tagline was "Number 5 is alive." It was about a robot that escaped from a defense. Man, I can't think of the name of that movie was. We used parts of that actual robot. That was also really cool. I love taking something and turning it, reusing it, presenting it in a new way. I love that. I go on forever about things that we built that were beautiful. I keep saying we because it's none of it has ever been.
Well, it's a team.
It's a team.
Yeah. It's a team.
So many people.
Wow.
And it sounds like you guys have to have just as many meetings as a talent. Like we have our run through, our rehearsals, and all that.
Oh yeah.
But you guys, I'm sure you have to have meetings to talk about the vision and then creating the vision
and trying to make it seem coherent and make sure that people don't get left out. That's another really important thing. It's making sure that all voices are heard. I mean, I think when I was a kid, I thought that theater was a democracy, that entertainment was a democracy, and I know now as an adult that it needs to be, in my opinion, a dictatorship. It needs to be a single voice, right? That is talking to people about what they want. But unlike a political dictatorship, it can be a dictatorship where the ideas are constantly listened to, where people from all parts of the group can talk about, hey, would this be a great way to make this better? We have a moment. Hey, I have an idea, right? Like there's nothing particularly democratic about that, but there's everything human and wonderful about talking about how to make something better, right?
Yeah.
That the way that the vision sort of flows down from the writers, down to the stage. Often, you think that you're creating something, you've built a world, and the actors show up, and then they use it differently than you intended, and none of that can ever be, you can't ever be mad about that. I have been to wonderful theater that was actors reading lines, sitting in chairs. Some of the most incredible theater is radio. Like you need people telling a story. And then if you're given the opportunity to help back that up by building something that they can sit in or open the drawers of or walk through a doorway and feel like that's telling the story better, well, then you're succeeding.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I am so happy to be talking to you. I am learning so much. You're a well of
knowledge, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So after Victorious ended, there were some spinoffs. Do you have any memories from Sam and Cat?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sam and Cat was a lot of fun. I wish it had continued. There were so many things that contributed to the early end of that. I think that I am still good friends with Jeanette. I really enjoyed working with her, and I very much enjoyed working with Ariana. I still see Ariana around from time to time. We had some really good opportunities. I loved the fact that we built that split bedroom. The Odd Couple is such an interesting idea. The original Jack Lemmon, like having two sort of opposite personalities put in close proximity. It was a lot of fun to work on that bedroom, that split bedroom, and that the refrigerator, building the crazy refrigerator in that living room.
You're a busy guy. You worked on Henry Danger, Game Shakers, Adventures of Kid Danger.
I'm glad you mentioned Adventures of Kid Danger, because the two times that I've had an opportunity to work in animation, as an outgrowth of working in live action, that's been incredibly satisfying. When we did Fairly Odd Parents, Fairly Odder, where we were working with an animation team called Buxell Studios, they're like, those guys became incredible friends. I text with Uri, the lead artist that I worked with most closely all the time. I think that I used to hear when I was a kid that showbiz was about who you knew, and I thought that meant that you had to have some sort of secret membership to some sort of old boys club. And that's not to say that doesn't exist. I think that we are working our way away from the sort of hugely prevalent racism, the crazy bigotry. Like, there are lots of problems with entertainment.
Amen.
Oh yeah,
we're starting to come forward out of that. But I think that it's who you know in many ways, in the best case scenario, and in the way that I'm trying to live my life now. It's about enjoying working with Mike Karen every day, and doing that, and having the way that fun express itself turn into good television that you can make repeatedly. That generates people wanting you to come and do that for their project too. They're like, oh, you guys can really churn out a bunch of stuff. Obviously, you're having a good time. You have a good rapport. Things are happening. They're moving forward. It is curious. It is definitely about who you know. And I was going to say that first important person I knew happened to be my best friend since 7th grade, who happened to be out here working and heard about a show that needed a sculptor from Seattle.
Wow.
Weirdly, there was another job opportunity around the same time to go and work on this show that was going to be starting up at AMC. Another graduate from University of Washington, Chris Brown, was going to be the art director production designer for this new show. And I thought about that. I'm really glad that I went with iCarly, but it was going to be, this show about advertising in New York in the 1950s. And it was Mad Men.
I'm sure that died.
Yes. How crazy! That would have been a totally different trajectory. It's another bunch of really great people who worked on Mad Men. So I don't know that I had as much fun as I did.
Well, you made the right choice.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Because you just exude happiness and coolness.
You do.
You just
make me feel happy and cool.
I know. I mean, to get to have vision and create,
do what you want, and I hear the word love a lot.
Yeah,
and that means a lot. When
and
you
work
do
with
what you love doing,
like.
Man, it's the greatest thing, because most people don't do what they love.
Yeah,
they do I can make a lot of money doing this, and then they're miserable.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's.
Wow.
Yeah. So most recently, you were a visual consultant on the reboot of iCarly, and that's been streaming. Tell us, what does a visual consultant do?
So, as you guys saw before, that I have all of these models and pictures of things that we made over the years, and so when they were starting up iCarly, the reboot. I was talking to them about, hey, how interested are you in making it look like the original? And there are existing, the network holds on to things, but sometimes there's more information that's needed, like who remembers what the Ridgeway Junior High school colors were,
right,
or what, I know that this is how the room looked, but what was over? We don't have any good pictures that show the other side of this thing. So when I'm trying to think of who the name of the original production designer was before it was Jim. Jim Jones became the production designer on the reboot after several episodes with another Wendell. I can't think of his last name. When Wendell had started, Wendell didn't have any connection to the original series, and so I was trying to feed that art department as much information, much historical information, and the abstract weird stuff like colors that nobody would remember what the were, and stuff like that, and then obviously rebuilding the BattleBot, and then I was going to re-rent to them a bunch of the old decorations, because I had made a bunch of the sculptures that were on the wall in iCarly in the apartment and in the loft. And I did end up renting them some of the stuff back, but the apartment got an update too. I mean, which was good. Time had passed, right? They
right. They're older.
That time hadn't. So that was sort of the initial consultancy was trying to give them that information, and then the ongoing stuff has more to do with, hey, so what? I have a Dropbox folder I could probably open up and look at when we did this. What was this? What did this look like? How and then trying to feed that information back in. Did we ever go to the gym of the high school? No, we never went to the gym of the high school. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. That's what a visual consultant does. Yeah.
People remember stuff.
They remember. People like Bennett.
Yeah. It's like you're doing a...
Tristan, I feel like it must be so full circle for you when you got that phone call, or I don't even know, when you heard they were doing a reboot. I'm curious if you were expecting to be a part of it in some way, because that was the first show on Nickelodeon you were a part of. To get to come back and be a part of that, how cool is that?
It's gotta be
fantastic. There was a part of me that really wanted to be the production designer, but not that was necessary. There were other conversations that were being had at that moment, and I was actively working. And you can't do all the. It's not fair to anybody to try and do all the work. But man, part of me really excited at the prospect, and so when it turned out that I could contribute in some way, some meaningful way, I was stoked. I was stoked about that.
Well, there is a clip where Jerry talks about in an interview prior to the season 1 premiere on Paramount Plus about the BattleBot being done by the original designer Tristan, and I think back to that. I remember watching that, so you are a part of that legacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jerry, Jerry Trainer, he is a wonderful guy. I
love that guy.
Yeah, he's got a great energy, man.
Yeah. I just saw him. I had gone to a thing at Paramount. And Brian Robbins was sort of talking about the next year's sort of, or the forward trajectory of Nickelodeon. And Jerry was there, and Kira from Thundermans, who I just worked with, was there. And Kel was zoomed in, which was nice. Again, Kel who I'd worked with on Game Shakers. And it's so nice to see all of those people. Man, just quality.
It's like family,
people.
Basically, when you work together that long.
Cal must have been a blast to work with on Game Shakers.
Oh.
Yeah, he's funny.
Well, and Nay, who we saw in that clip, in the back of that one clip, I don't know. This is not my story. I don't know if this is for real or not. But
here we go.
It jives with everything that I have ever experienced with Kel, who I greatly appreciated my time working with. I understood from Nay that Kel would get, at a certain point, would be done with doing takes, would be ready to move on to the next thing, and so he would just go big, and in a way that would end up making it that there was no way to go back from that point.
That you had to use it.
yeah. People talk about in theater chewing the scenery. I think you would literally get to the point where again, I think that Kel is a consummate actor and knows when to release that energy, and the way to release that energy that is going to be something that you can take. It's not a tantrum. It is a explosive comedic output that then sets you on to the next thing, whether you're ready or not.
An overflow of talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a legend.
Yeah, he is.
You have literally built a legacy.
You built a legacy for sure.
Through your work, designing, creating pieces, and A question came to me that I didn't write down. But what about that pear phone? How did that come about?
So I believe the first instance of the use of the pear, I'm not sure whether it was on Drake and Josh or whether it was on Zoe. As I recall, when we started up iCarly, we were building on an idea that already existed. I'm not entirely sure. Again, Zoe was immediately before, so maybe it was from Zoe, and maybe it was one of those things that was casually mentioned in Zoe, and then we sort of built up on top of it. But for quite a while there, we were using Apple products that were selectively rebranded to be pear products.
Yeah, it was like a parody or something.
Yes,
off of
yeah.
Apple.
And there was and again, this is an apocryphal story. I don't know if this is 100% true, but I had heard that at one point somebody at Apple on the IP side, the intellectual property side, was like, "This is a problem. They're taking our brand, they're doing things with it that we don't." Somebody on the marketing side, was like, "No, they need to keep doing this because
this is good.
Everyone knows what a pear is. So you're going to get kids who finish that and want to buy a pear phone for themselves. They're going to buy a sticker. They're going to put it on an Apple product." I don't know whether or not that internal controversy ever actually was. But we got to, was it season 2 or season 3 that we started making the pear-shaped phones? Now, right. A series of conversations about how to make it, a little bit more interesting, how to make it be a little bit more solidly branded. I have at least one prototype inside the house. I should have brought it out here. But the thing that nobody thought about, because we had it made. I think that I drew it. Either Chris DeVacaris, who's the prop master, either Chris or I drew it. I'm not entirely sure. And then we had it made at what is that place up in Van Nuys? It's a famous prop building company. It was made out of billet aluminum, like it's an actual aluminum.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we put it together and filmed the first episode with it. And David Van Riper, the visual effects person who worked on all those shows, was like, "Guys, this crazy screen shade is not easy to fill. It's really hard because it's neither portrait nor landscape. You can't turn a camera to film the content that's going to go inside of it and have it be an easy thing." So then we had to add the row of permanent buttons that was on the top and on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole thing to try and make the space that was left inside be a little bit easier for David to work with.
Wow.
But they're certainly iconic, and God knows
it's huge. Kids were making their own pear phone.
Oh yeah.
Didn't you make one, Bennett? Don't you have a pear phone?
It says copyright 2011 Dan Warp in my handwriting when I was 10 years old.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic. I wonder if there's a way to distribute how to make your own at home plans.
On Etsy, there's one person who makes them and they look pretty real.
Oh, really?
Really?
They do a good business.
And they're making money?
I'm so
Where's my money?
You could definitely
Where's my money?
That's right. They owe you, man.
They owe you,
enough
man.
people have laser cutters and stuff at home. I was just gonna see about distributing the pattern, so that people would actually have the original cut path, so that they would know that it was the right size and the right. Oh, look at that!
Oh, there it is.
It's a pear pad.
A pear pad.
Awesome.
That is so cute.
Oh, that is fantastic.
People would buy it from you, though, Tristan, because it would be authentic.
Bennett, if you want to take that to the next level, the way to do the edge, because you've got that sort of exposed foam core edge there, right?
Yeah, 10-year-old.
The way to do that edge is go to Pep Boys or the equivalent of whatever. And there's something called chrome bumper tape, and you can get it in 1/4 inch width, and it's got a little bit of dimension to it. That's what we did the edges of everything from the pear phones that weren't the ones, because we started making out of acrylic and putting that edge on rather than making them out of aluminum, because acrylic's so much easier to work with. From that to Schwaz's remote, on Henry Danger. Like I've caused to be used or used myself miles of chrome bumper tape. You can get it in all kinds of different widths, but I'm sure that I have at least one appropriately sized green screen for you that I could probably send your way so you could stick the actual green screen on the face of it.
Wow. Oh, he'll love you forever. So you heard it here first, people. Yeah. If you have a pear pad and it has rough edges, take yourself down to Pep Boys and get that chrome. What did you call it?
Chrome bumper tape.
Chrome bumper
tape. Make your pear pad authentic.
That's right.
I love it.
It looks so nice. It like glitz it up.
I was just curious, Tristan, because we usually ask a lot of our actor guests if they were cut from any scenes on the show. Were any of your props or sets or anything like that cut from any of the shows, if you can remember?
Yes. Oh, a lot. A lot of things have been cut over the years. I have never felt as though something was cut out of Peak, while working on Danger Force or anything like that. But there was a thing for quite a while. We designed dentist's office. We designed 3 different dentist's offices for iCarly, and invariably those scenes would get cut. And it was weird. Like one time, it was like the examining room in the dentist's office, and when the rewrite came, suddenly the scene was in the lobby, which had previously been just sort of a backing, and then suddenly now all the action was now out in the lobby. And the room, which we had gone to such trouble to create, was like the backing for the scene. Yeah, so those were, and there have been sort of ideas that have been cut and then tried again. And I've had the privilege of working with some incredible writers over the years and worked with them in as much of the same family way. Like Jake Farrow, I've worked with Jake Farrow, Chris Nowak, Sam Martin.
Wow.
These people that you want to work with again, right? And, Jake has had a couple ideas over the years that he's tried a couple of different times and found, like, we were going to do a Trojan horse gag, like 4 different.
They don't want it.
We finally did it in that was Danger Force. I think that was Danger Force. Yeah, that was Danger Force. Yes. Yeah, we managed to do a Trojan horse that actually had worked, like the people got inside of, and that whole.
Wow.
And then there have been catapults. Weirdly, one of the ones that has gotten written in and then cut out and written in and cut out was somebody hanging from a ceiling fan, spinning, like it because it is hard, traditionally in multi-camera you don't shoot up, rarely do you shoot the camera tilt up. And so doing it in such a way that would show so that you would have the connection so that the audience wasn't taken outside of itself to wonder where they were, right? Getting that part of it set up was as difficult as actually building the set that was necessary to have somebody, pivoting off of a ceiling fan. One of the declared goals early on when we started up Fairly Odd Parents was wanting to have a secret entrance from the middle of the room. And the stage that we were working on at the time didn't have a pit, didn't have a trap room. And so we ended up elevating that whole section of the stage. Both the living room and Vivian's bedroom in Fairly Odd Parents were built up off the ground. And so when you like to get the cameras up to shoot those scenes, you pushed them up a ramp to get them up there, because that was the only way to make room for the tunnel that was going to go under to get up in the middle of the set,
Yeah. And people think acting is easy.
It's not.
They have no idea, right?
They have no idea.
Oh my God.
Tristan, you could write a book.
I could.
I'd
buy it.
I started making a coffee table book at one point of just things that I had designed, because
that would be great.
I have books and books of sketches, and then the props that came out of those sketches and stuff like that. And it's all you need is time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta have a significant amount of time,
Is your family proud of you?
They should be.
I have had nothing but support from my family, and I am greatly appreciative of that, And I think that there's an advantage. My dad is a college professor. He teaches anatomy. He's theoretically retired, but is very much not. And
yeah, I know what
my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was a kindergarten teacher, and both of them valued education beyond a method or means to succeed in business or to get ahead in business. They, I think, were interested in my brothers and I educating ourselves in ways that made us interesting, better people, doing things that fulfilled some sort of idea about what we wanted to do or be or whatever.
Yes.
And I think that can be a lot more satisfying.
I can tell you enjoy it. You just light up when you talk about what you've created.
His eyes go bing.
Yeah. and your beard starts quivering.
It does quiver. You don't know it.
Intense.
Oh, heavy.
Yes, it does.
I love it.
Hey, I can show you real quick if you want to see. This was my dream for what this. I was going to put this coffee table book together. So, for instance, this is just pages out of the middle of the book. I was going to show. So this was Captain Man's blaster from Henry Danger, right? And then Danger.
Wow.
And then this would be the other side of the page, and this is the original. This is like a Photoshop collage that I did to illustrate what I wanted to do. And then this is the original sketch that I drew while we were at lunch when we were talking about it for the first time. That's this over here.
That's incredible.
That's some talent, man.
The excerpt from the script talking about it, and then these were the notes after talking to the director about it. So I have lots of these things. I have, the sketches, and then the actual product as we made it or built it.
And he just casually finishes this during lunch. Well, not the whole thing. I mean, that drawing you said you did.
Yeah.
So talented.
Look at
I would like to say
that's amazing.
A drawing like this one took more than just a lunch.
Look at the grip. I love the grip. I'd buy that book just to look at that stuff.
Yes.
I would love to actually get around to putting all that stuff together.
It's coming, man.
Yeah.
It's coming, brother.
Yeah, just do it a little bit at a time.
Little at a time.
Instead of thinking you need a lot of time to do it, just whatever time you can snatch.
Yeah.
I understand you have a website that has your portfolio and contact information on it. We want you to share all your information that
whatever
you
you
want to
want.
share. This is your podcast. This is all about you. You may be able to hook up with somebody. So if this is your moment.
I think that the smart thing to do is to tell people that, because my website theoretically is tmtd.design. Mm-hmm. Extra money for no.com. I got .design. But it is sad. It is a sad thing. I've never done a great job of, because like you say, you've just always been working. But this is probably what I need to do is get myself together and actually put some stuff up on there. Maybe that's a place to put that cut pattern so people can cut their own pear pads, even if they're
start with Instagram.
Yeah,
because
it's at Canard Chronique, which is a literary reference, French, either meaning chronic jokes or chronic ducks, both of which I think are very funny. That's my Instagram. I have been wanting to see if I could figure out a way to do some sort of gallery show of work, and I think that people would enjoy seeing some of that stuff.
Oh, they would.
I would go.
The thing I have to figure out how to do is get a hold of somebody who runs a gallery. I have these grand dreams of showing stuff somewhere, but I need to meet somebody that owns a gallery. And we'll see.
You know what? I've seen people actually post on Facebook and social media. Does anyone own a gallery? I want to do blah blah blah. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, you were a wonderful guest.
So much.
Oh, what a pleasure!
I'm glad knowledges.
I learned a lot. Wow. I learned a lot, especially about that tape you can get at Pep Boys.
We're giving them some. We need to. Hey, Pep Boys. Pep Boys, if you would like to be a sponsor of Victoriously Crazy Podcast, please contact us.
That's right. Okay, so Victoriously Crazy Podcast is on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and we love it when you subscribe, like, share, and comment. You are wonderful. God bless you. We thank you for taking the time, and I'm gonna have to go back and look at these episodes just to see the set design
for sure.
Yeah, because I know the dude that helped make them.
That's right. So there.
Yeah, so there. Okay, so you ready for Andre's Grandma Acts Out?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Right.
Roll!
Tristan! I recognize you. You make stuff. Can you help me? Can you help me design something?
Yes.
I got this big highlighter and I want to make some lasagna. I want it to be big and wide and yellow. Can you help me with that?
Yes. Yes, we could definitely make a lasagna out of a highlighter. I think
3 cheese.
Yes.
3 cheese?
We need a lot of cheese.
That's why I got the big highlighter. Okay. I got a brush. Can I make a dog? A long-haired dog with 5 legs. 5. The 5th leg is to pick up its own poop. Because I don't like doing that. Can you do that?
The squirrel cam from iCarly.
I didn't say squirrel. I said I want to make a dog. Are you listening?
Yes. Now I am. No squirrel.
How do I do that?
I think
No. Okay. I got some scissors. Watch out for the point. I want to make an 8-foot origami dragon. Can you help me?
Yes, you have the right tool for that. You're gonna need you need a lot of paper.
Oh, good. Don't you have it? You design?
Yes.
It's gotta be yellow to match my lasagna. It's got to be yellow.
Yellow dragon. Is that a luck dragon?
Yeah.
I think a luck dragon's
with red teeth. Red teeth. Can you do that?
Terrifying. You can use your shirt.
You know I could. I like that. I'm ready. Let's go.
Same.